Hi, my name is Phil. I'm the development chef here at Clover Food Lab, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do your graveyard focaccia for the Halloween box. First, you're going to have a well-floured work surface, so just make sure it's really nice and coated because you don't want any of this to stick. Then you're going to have your 2 bags of dough. And the first thing you're going to want to do is combine those. Just open that bag. And I think if you cut those off and turn it out, it'll be a little easier to get out of the bag. Turn those inside out. So once you have that on the board, put a little bit more flour on top. And then you're just going to want to pick that up and sort of fold in underneath to form these together into one big dough ball. So you can see you're just kind of reaching underneath and pulling that together to form a nice tight skin on top. There you go. And then you can kind of just roll it around a little bit, kind of ball that. There you go. There's your dough ball. Next, I'm gonna shift that over here. And to prepare your pan, you're gonna get a container of olive oil with this kit. Start by putting a pretty large amount right there into the pan. You want to make sure you have definitely enough to fully coat the bottom, plus a little more than you think you need. This bread really loves olive oil. You almost can't use too much. So you can see like it's not quite enough to fully coat, so we'll put a little bit more in there. And you want to roll it around so that it gets all the way up onto the edges. This is both going to help the bread cook evenly and give it a really delicious flavor. There we go. Next, you're going to carefully lift your dough ball and just put it right there. And then roll it around again with the dough ball in there. Just make sure it's really evenly coated on the bottom so nothing sticks. Right. And next, I like to do this part with the glove. Kind of turn the pan a little bit and take some of that oil and just brush it with your hand right onto the ball. Just want to make sure it's really nice and evenly covered. All right. Once you get to this stage, this can sit for 2 hours, maybe a little bit less, but what you're looking for is for that ball to almost completely double in size, come all the way out to the edges of the pan. All right, and so at this point, your dough is rested for about 2 hours. It should have doubled in size. It should look really nice and relaxed. Next, we're gonna wanna take our hand and just press it out a little bit, make sure it comes all the way to the edges of your pan, and just really gently. And if you're seeing all that extra oil there, that's great. That means you probably have about enough in the pan. Then, taking an index finger, I would start at the edge and come in just about 1 centimeter from the edge, and about every inch, make a nice little dimple. You want to press all the way to the bottom of the pan. Don't press too hard. You don't want to puncture the bread really. You're just kind of making little dimples in the top. This will help the bread bake evenly. It also gives a way for the olive oil to get more into the bread itself. All right, so once you've done your dimpling, you take a little bit of extra olive oil, just kind of drizzle that right on top. If it pools in the dimples, that's great. That's kind of what they're there for. Just a little bit more. You almost cannot use too much olive oil in this recipe. And lastly, just take a little bit of salt. This isn't included in your kit and it's not required. I just think it makes it a little bit more tasty. You could also use any spice mix you like, or dried herb mix works great. Get a little bit more of that flaky salt on there. All right, and then this will go into a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes or until it's doubled in size again and should reach an internal temperature of about 200 degrees. All right, And when this comes out of the oven, this is what it should look like. I would recommend letting it rest in the pan for about 30 minutes. The bread is still baking when it comes out, and if you try to take it out of the pan immediately and work with it, it might kind of collapse a little bit. This also will look a lot darker than the original dough. This is an activated charcoal bread, and it kind of hydrates in the dough as it bakes. And so you'll get this much nicer, much darker looking bread when it's done. It can be a little hard to tell when exactly it is done baking. One good test is when it comes out of the oven, kind of give it a little gentle push on top. It should feel pretty crusty, but it should also spring back. If you're pushing on it and it kind of sinks or dips, then it probably needs a little bit more time in the oven. Happy Halloween!